Okay, and here we are. Hello, Mr. Zuckerberg. So today we're going to be focusing on lower back release and a little bit of neck and shoulders in our restorative class. So please do grab any props and blankets or straps or cushions or anything like that you want, and just put them near you so that you can collect them with ease. And let us begin. First of all, just close your eyes and tune in with your breath. And as you tune in with your breath, let that prana rise up and flow back down. And for those of you that were there this morning, we focused on prana. So prana not only is the breath, but it is the nature of our energy and how much we have of it. And so when our vital energy is high, then we're considered to have a lot of our prana inside. And when we're distracted and overwhelmed and overworked or just maxed out in the external world, then our prana is kind of spread out. It's outside the body. So part of our practice is to draw that prana back inside, to cultivate that internal awareness, but also the internal focus. And there's no better practice to do that than yin. Yin and restorative yoga just gives us the opportunity to take time for that. It's like a luxury to stop and breathe. And let the breath be totally smooth and relaxed. No control needed whatsoever. And as you breathe in, just focus your awareness on the coolness of your nostrils as you breathe in. And then as you breathe out, just focus on the journey of the breath from the lungs, out the nose, into the air around you. And as you breathe in, focus on that journey again, drawing that breath in from the space, through the nostrils, down the throat, into the lungs, into the capillaries, feeding that rich oxygen around the body. But going beyond the physical, going beyond that awareness of what physiologically is happening, into just the simple awareness of the breath. And notice what subtle movements occur in your body, but also in your way of being as you sit and focus on the breath. With that simple but direct focus, notice the mind calming, the body calming. Notice your way of being. Rest in the here and now. And gently take your right hand behind your back. And take your left hand over your head. Rest your hand on your ear and let your left ear drop towards your left shoulder. And just breathe here with the weight of the arm hanging off the head. If that's too much, you can always just rest your hand in your lap. But tune into the subtler fibers there of the neck muscles, the scalenes, and as they lengthen, you might feel that moving to the shoulder. And let the head drop forwards by an inch and just have at least 2 breaths, maybe 3 or 4 breaths in each position. Becoming aware of how you're holding your head and just letting go. And let the head travel forward another inch, moving towards looking down into the lap. As you hang the arm off the head, just let that intensify the stretch down the rhomboids. Let your chin drop to your chest and take the hand from behind you and interlace it with the other and hang the elbows down. Keep the head where it is, release the hands and bring them down to the lap. And slowly unpeel the neck until you bring your gaze straight ahead and just lift one ear and the other. Lifting one ear and then the other. Good. And we'll go into the other side. So take your left hand behind your back and bring your right hand over your head to the ear. And as you're breathing, let the shoulder drop down and check in on whether you're leaning over to the left side. Check that your spine is still straight and long. And let the head travel in that little mini semicircle, inch by inch, allowing the weight of your arm to intensify the stretch as much as it feels beneficial. And let the head travel an inch or so forwards. And if there's any glitchy bits, be with that area a little longer. As you're moving down the scalenes, this relates to your vagus nerve, which relates a lot to the level of stress and cortisol in the body and your instinctive flight or fight responses. If they've been stimulated this week, then your vagus nerve may feel a little bit active. The neck may be a little bit tighter. So just take the time you need here. And taking the hand from behind the back and interlacing behind your head. And again, let your elbows hang down. Spine is tall. Good. Bring the elbows out to the side. Slowly bring the chin up. And look up and rest your head in your hands with your elbows wide. Take a few deep breaths here. And then take your thumbs on the occiput, that spot just below the base of the skull, at the top of the neck, and just do some circles here. So you might find it's quite sensitive around this area. That's because there's so many pressure points. Give yourself a little massage around the area with the pads of your thumbs squeezing quite assertively. Good. All right. Rest your hands down in the lap or on the knees. Close your eyes and lift one ear and then the other. And gently blink the eyes awake. Inhale, lift the heart. And then exhale and look over your left shoulder. Reach your left hand behind you. And reach your right hand to your left knee. Sit up really nice and tall. And exhale into a twist. See if you can place the palm of the hand down to the ground. Lift the heart. Squeeze your bandhas. And see if you can find a surrender in this pose. So that you can rest, you can lean into that hand behind you. Still staying tall in the spine. And feeling this twist. There's a little bit of engagement as you hold the knee. But apart from that, you're generally relaxed. You can relax the bandhas now. You can treat the arm that's behind you like a pole. It's completely straight, the elbow is straight. All right, gently release, leaning forward slightly as you lift the hands to the sky. Bring the backs of the wrists together and just do rotations as you bring the hands down to the heart. Great. And we're going to do the other side, looking over your right shoulder and bringing the right hand behind you. Bring your left hand across the body to the knee. Sit up tall, squeeze those bandhas and exhale into the twist. And place the palm on the ground, lift up your heart. And then find an ease in this pose. Just gently active as you lock out the back arm and as you hold the knee. But apart from that, gentle. And release. And stretch those hands up to the sky. Good. Bring them into prayer pose and do those circles for your wrists, just to relieve that wrist of the pressure. All right, great. So first pose today, I would like you to take some blocks or your roller, something that you can lean on in front of you. You may want also a cushion, it'd be quite nice. So I'm going to use the blocks just to make it the most accessible. So you're going to open out the hips a little bit first as a pathway to the lower back. So what you want is your feet about shoulder width apart, maybe even a little wider, but you want them on something where you're not going to have to hold on to. There's a sort of relatively sticky surface or something that you can place the feet down and just leave them as is. If you've got a slidey floor, what you can do is you can wrap your strap around you so you feel like you can actually relax. If you've got your strap around you, you're going to take that around the sacrum and bring your feet wide like that. Okay. All right, so from here, I need to make a little mountain in front of you. So just arrange that so you feel quite steady. I'm making a T with mine, and then I'm resting my cushion on top. So I feel like I can hug. And my feet aren't going to slide away, but I want to be able to lean forward a touch. Okay, so wiggle yourself into position. And let the head drop down. You can hold onto your wrists or just rest the hands down. And let your knees drop to the side. What you're doing here is working into your adductors without overly stretching the groin. So often when we're working the adductors, we're also pressing those thighs to the ground, and that goes deeply into the groin, and sometimes it just feels a bit overstretched. So this is a lovely way to get to the adductors without exerting the groin. Okay, gently lift your chest. Take those blocks away from the center. Bring your knees towards each other with your hands. And remove your strap. So I'd like to kind of offer you a relaxed Baddha Konasana. So you're going to stash those blocks underneath your thighs as you come into this variation. And so instead of creating a block behind your back the way that we have before, you're going to just pop that to one side and instead lie directly on the ground. And you want to bring your arms overhead and hold your elbows. Good girl, Jess. Being super easy now. If you want more of a challenge and you're feeling that that's not giving you a stretch, feel free to take the blocks away. You can also bring your legs into half lotus. If your arms are feeling too tight overhead, then you can bring them out into Shavasana arms. So this is particularly relevant if there's any pinch in the lower back. But if that's not happening, you're feeling relaxed, then enjoy. Enjoy the lushness of this simple pose. Supta Baddha Konasana. The gentlest of back bends. Okay, gently release your arms. Place your hands either side of the hips and unravel those feet. You can bring your knees together, roll over onto one side, and come up to seated. And remove the strap if you have a strap. So I'm going to show you a variation with a wheel for the next one. But if you have blocks, we've done this one before. So you can have your blocks in a T shape, or you can take away that top part of the T. So when we've done this one before, we're going to do a similar Supta Baddha Konasana. And if you've done half lotus on one side, then do half lotus on the other side for this. If you want to intensify the stretch, instead of having that T shape, you can take that top T away. So this would be behind the shoulder blades. So that's one way of stepping it up if you've got blocks. If you've got your roller, then lining it up along the shoulder blades is a really good way for this. You can also have your roller this way, but for that you really want to have a lot of padding around the base because it can be a bit intense on the lower back there. So I would advise this way. If you have a wheel, however, then bring it in now and I'll show you. Okay, so you want to scooch up so that you can touch the sacrum on the wheel and take your seated position. Take the strap around your feet in Baddha Konasana if you wish, or your half lotus, and lift up your heart. I'm bringing the thumbs around the wheel, so I'm pinning the wheel in position, but I really want to push with my arms, so I'm feeling like I'm lengthening the front side of my body. I'm lifting myself up and over the wheel. Good. And so from here, I can simply lean back with the wheel pressing into the mid and the lower part of the middle back. So here I get quite a good opening in my cervical spine, my neck, and I get a lovely opening in the chest. It's not so supported though for my head, so I can interlace the hands behind the head. If that's a little bit too much, then you can roll the wheel back a touch and get more support behind your chest, behind the breastbone. So here, the center of gravity really on my torso is really just behind the heart. So I'm feeling that opening my chest here. And remember, you can always interlace the hands behind the head to protect your head. And surrender. Let your weight drop back. Another 5 easy breaths. Okay, if you have something that rolls, then you're going to bring the soles of your feet onto the ground. You're going to lift up the hips and just draw your body up a little bit so you're pressing and rolling slightly. Ooh. Just a gentle massage on the back of the heart. Keep the hips nice and high, or as high as you need. So as you drop the hips, you're intensifying the back bend. And as you keep them up, you're making it much easier on the back and working more into the shoulders and the neck. So you can bring your hands over the head in prayer pose, Kali Mudra.
And if there's any pinch with the shoulder blades, particularly if you're on the blocks, then you can reach one hand to the sky, reach the other hand to the sky, and separate those shoulder blades before you interlace the fingers and bring the arms overhead behind you. And let the head drop back and be supported by the wheel or by the ground. You could bring a cushion in under your head if you need support. Soles of the feet are flat on the ground. There's a little engagement in the hips, but I'm focusing my breath on relaxing, releasing the head, neck, and shoulders. If it's too much to reach the hands overhead, you can have them out by the sides in a Shavasana variation. If you really like the intensity, what you can do to add to it is bring your hands to cactus pose. So this allows gravity to help you to open the chest. Let the fingers be soft though, and really feel into what feels good here. You don't want to go too intense. Notice that any stretch is that dull, lovely, juicy, achy stretch. Nothing sharp. And as you breathe, you might find the arms gradually lengthen, the hands drop down towards the ground. There's a melting that goes on. Great. Slide the hands down towards the waist and use the fingertips for support as you draw the hips down to the ground. Reach the hands behind the head. Hold on to your head as you bring the chin to chest. Bring your hands around your knees and come forward into a rolling position similar to the one that we did initially. Bring your arms on the inside. You could place your hands on your toes and just curl the spine again. So you're going to take a happy baby pose for the next one. So move the wheel out of the way, working into those forward fold and back bends, limbering up. So make sure that you're feeling supported by a blanket or something underneath you, that there's not a lumpy, bumpy surface, that's a nice, clean surface. And allow your knees to come up by your armpits and the feet to float towards the sky. You can take your hands underneath the knees and just straighten the legs and bend the legs. Do this a few times, squeezing your hand. And then straighten those legs and bend. And straighten and bend. So feel as much squeeze as you can on the bend and as much opening as you can on the straight. Twice more. And flexing and extending. Good. And then bring your hands around the outside of the feet if it's available, or wrap your strap over the top of the feet if you need some support. But you want the feet to be at least as wide as your shoulders, possibly even wider. And you're holding onto the strap, just hanging your arms down. So you don't have to pull. If your hands are around the feet, then visualize your shoulders melting towards the ground, all the while the small of the back and the sacrum is touching the ground. Lengthen the back of the neck, so you're drawing your chin towards your neck a little bit, and relax the weight of the head to the ground. Visualize the muscle fibers of your inner thighs lengthening enough that your knees are easily melting down towards the ground. At the top of your femur, your thigh bone, it's breathing warmth and relaxation into the deep muscle fibers, attaching your thigh bone to your pelvis. All those muscles that are engaged as you walk are feeling that warmth and relaxation, easing the tension. And notice as the small of your back feels so much softer, as this pose becomes effortless to melt the sacrum into the mat. Visualize your knees melting down. Imagine that you're sinking into sand, and that sand has got you, that supports you. You can surrender everything to the deep, deep tension, the invisible tension. You can finally release. That sense of being one with nature as you truly feel held by the ground, by the earth, by the sand. And this warm water as it washes in on the tide, feeling that washing away any negativity from the week. Drawing that out to the ocean to be renewed and turned into new life source of vital prana. As you are lying here, the hips feeling easy and limber. Slowly bring the soles of the feet towards one another until the toes touch. And interlace your hands around your feet. So you're doing a Baddha Konasana lying on the ground. And pause here. Great. Release your right foot and bring that down to the ground, and to place your left foot over the thigh on the right side. So left foot over right thigh. You might get a couple of clicks in your lower back. That's excellent. Sign that you're releasing tension there. And then thread your inside hand, your left hand, through the gap and bring that around your shin, and take your outside hand, your right hand, around the shin if it's possible. If it's not, you can bring your hands underneath so that you're grabbing the thigh. Either way, rest your head back. You can relax your feet. You don't need to keep them flexed. But do check in that there's no sharpness in the knee, either knee, but especially the left one. And let the shoulders relax. Let the spine feel straight down the mat. If your tendency is to roll over to the left, just check in with that. Make sure that there is weight on either side of the spine into the ground. as you've spent time to open up the hip. You're moving now into the glute. There's space now to move deeper into the gluteus maximus. Great. Release your shin, and you're going to squash that top thigh against the bottom thigh, like you're crossing the legs. And then we're going to go into a twist. So you're moving over to the right side. The left leg is over the top. And let the knees drop down to the ground, hip height. Now reach your hand up to the sky. Stretch your arm long and reach your fingertips over. Reach them over. Don't worry about feeling into the twist. Feel into the length of your arm. So if there's any sharpness here, you want to unravel the legs first of all. But if there's just that juicy stretch and you're really feeling into the tendons now, then keep reaching with the arm. Take a breath in. Open the mouth wide and sigh. Keep that going. As you inhale, reach with the fingertips. And as you exhale, visualize your fingertips drawing down to the ground easily as you sigh. Going to do that again. Lengthen through the arm. Push those fingertips away from you. Inhale, exhale. Relax both feet. You might notice how the balance with that effort and the sigh helped you to release so much more deeply in that twist. It's amazing that strength and effort earns the trust of the deeper layers. As you surrender, especially in the twist, it works beyond the superficial muscles into the deeper myofascial. Let the body melt with every exhale, visualizing again lying on that beach. You might be in some hot springs in Iceland or a hot springs beach in Australia, where the water is warm and comforting, where every wave that laps over your feet, your legs, and the small of your back helps to give you faith, helps to give you comfort. And if you feel to now, you can bend your elbow and add a little bit of intensity. Just notice if where the boundary is on the shoulder, of the rotation of the forearm like this. So you want to check in that that's feeling beneficial inside the shoulder. And your body will know what to do. Let the body's subtle movements guide you. Unravel those legs. And in slow motion, roll yourself onto your back again and bring the feet wide and the knees together. You can bring the arms down into Shavasana arms. Great. So now the left sole of the foot is to the ground and the right ankle goes over the left thigh. You're going to thread the right hand through the gap and interlace your fingers around the shin or underneath the knee. And drop the head back. See how long you can make the neck by tucking the chin a few times. Relax both your feet. So long as there's no sharp sensation in the knee, then you're fine to do that. If there is any sort of dull ache in the knee area, then flex your right foot, the top foot. And just breathe here. Visualize your shoulders melting again down towards the ground. Check in that your chin is slightly tucked. Relax the whole 5 kilos of your head into the earth. Carrying around this super heavy brain. Such a dense formation. 5 kilos of mainly fat with quite a few neural synapse connections and some hormones too. Takes a lot of effort to hold this head. Let the full weight of the head be received by the ground now. As you breathe, give yourself permission to completely relax the head. Completely relax your knee, your hip, your lower back. Completely relax the face, tongue, and brow. And let the fingers go. And press that top thigh against the bottom thigh. Roll over onto the left side. Until your knees touch the ground, until the right thigh and calf is all the way over to the ground. And then do again, reaching the right hand up towards the sky. Reach and lengthen the arm so the shoulder is protruding out. Exhale and let the arm drop behind you and reach again. Inhaling. And exhale, visualize your hand and arm easily drawing down to the ground. Inhaling, lengthening. Hello, darling. Good girl. And exhaling. And again, lengthen the arm. And exhale. Draw the arm along the mat or visualize the moment when that will happen. Check in that your thighs, the top thigh, is at least as high as the hip. You might find that one side feels a bit more stretchy than the other. If that's the case, and you want to move into the depth of your stretch, you can bend your elbow. Or you can keep your arm long. Either way, visualize the body easily opening, easily helping you reach the twist. And then turning. Lie down, Jess. Jess. Lie down, darling. And from here, unravel those legs. Roll onto the back. Super slow. Bring the feet towards your glutes, and you're just going to swit on your abdomen. So tip the tailbone up. And then rock the tailbone down. And then rock forwards, lifting the tailbone. And then rock, lifting a space for the small of the back. And just continue that gentle rocking motion without any strain, no over asking, just a very gentle rock. And then come to stillness. Bring the feet wide, knees together. And windscreen wiper your legs. Again, in slow motion. So as you windscreen wiper to one side, pause for at least 2 or 3 breaths. And as you roll onto the back, visualize your sacrum in your head, the movement of your pelvis. Feel into the slowness of that movement as you rock to the other side and come to stillness for 3 to 5 breaths. So you don't have to move your knees or move your feet even to bring your knees together. You're just rolling onto one side and the other side of the feet where they are. come back to center. And bring the knees to the chest. Wrap your arms around your knees to hold your elbows. And bring your head towards those knees. Once you feel like you have a good grip, then relax your head back. Just allow that compression to squeeze into the muscles, but release them at the same time. So let go of any holding on around your abdomen and around your thighs. So the legs become completely relaxed and you're just bracing them with the power of your arms, the grip of holding onto your elbows. Relax your shoulders and head and neck. Feel the compression of your sacrum to the ground and release your arms. Now do 3 circles. And then the other way. Great. Roll over onto one side. And come up to seated. You're going to go into a little hamstring and adductor stretch to work into that lower back again. So I'd love it if you could sit on a block. Everyone sit on at least one block. You can put a cushion over the top if you want a bit of comfort. Just make sure that the block is kind of on a flat surface and it's not tipping backwards. If anything, you want it tipping forwards. So as you come to sit on that block, bring the legs wide, Upavista Konasana. And encourage those legs quite wide, because you'll probably be able to do more of a split because you've lifted the sit bones up. And you can, in this pose, have another something to rest on. I really like using the wheel in this one. Again, you can have the other block or your roller. So I really like using the wheel because I can move into it or back off from it. And it's quite a fluid movement. So because we're doing yin and restorative, all movements so slow. But first of all, just take time to tip your sit bones back a touch. So I'm going to lean into the fingertips and lift up. And I'm going to do that on both sides, just to move my sit bones back. So now I feel like the pelvis is tipping forwards. So once I feel that, and there's a nice stretch in the adductors and maybe a little one in the hamstrings, but not quite so much yet, then you're bringing your prop in. So I'm going to roll this forwards as I come into my forward fold. So I'm going to stay active first of all, squeezing the bundas, but just walking the wheel forwards. I'm feeding now into the adductors and it's moving into the hamstrings. So my tendency is to flex my feet, push my heels away because that's what I'm used to. So that's what we're all more used to, you know. So wiggle those toes and the ankles just to check in that you're actually relaxed. As you're walking forwards, tune into the spine being straight. And you can sink and open the shoulders while you're in this position. So there's many ways you can do that. You can do the one I've just done. You can also reach your arms a little closer together. And as I drop my head, I'm resting my head there on the roller. So I feel really secure here. I'm also getting a stretch on my shoulders, but not quite so much. You can also just simply lean on the wheel like this. So I rest my chin over and it's touching my chest, but it's not painful. I rest my forearms on the ground, and completely relaxing my feet. And just breathe. So as you breathe here, not in your uber max stretch, but in a stretch that you're feeling an intensity, but you can completely relax into it. So it's Upavista Konasana with a totally different nuance. You can tune the awareness now to the subtler layers of what's happening around the top of your hamstring, where it fixes on to your sit bones, to the lesser trochanter, the top of your thigh bone. And what's happening there in the fibers in between the legs. And the warmth of your breath, and breathing into the back of the lungs and the side of the lungs. Resting the 5-kilo weight of your head. Let the neck surrender. Belly is relaxed. Eyes are closed. And press into the ground. Straighten your arms. And walk your body back up to straight. Pause here for a mo and breathe. Feel the connection to the Muladhara, to the earth. And the connection all the way up, the center of your being, the Sushumna. Sushumna Nadi. The clear energy channel rooting you, through you, rooting the earth to the sky. Connecting. Truly, energetically, we are connection channels. And each of us in each part of the country, of the globe, connecting sky to earth and earth to sky. Like little beacons, beacons of light. Bring your hands underneath the knees and tip your pelvis backwards. Then draw the legs together slowly. They'll probably feel quite intensely stretched at this point. And just bring the feet together and hug your knees. Drop your head. And feel the safety of this cocoon pose. And eyes closed. You can come to Shavasana. Maybe with hazy blink, you can grab your blanket and pop a cushion underneath your head. If you have an eye pillow, pop an eye pillow over your face.
I have these gorgeous eye pillows I got from Etsy. And they've got lavender inside. I can send you the link if you like, but I did get them a couple of years ago. So as you lie back in your Shavasana, tuck your shoulders underneath you. Maybe you don't need your blanket, but just check in that your spine is feeling tall and that your neck is long, the chin is tucked. The feet are wider than the mat, or as wide as the mat at least. Arms are far enough away from the body that your tricep has space between tricep and underarm and ribs and chest. Take your glasses off if you've got them. This time on the beach. As you lie on your back on the sand, the sun begins to set. The light in the sky is pink and orange. The blue of the sea goes to smoky grey. As you're lying on this beach, you feel the presence of angelic beings, of light beings, of your guides. And this could be people that you know, that you've loved, that have moved on. These could be spiritual guides. And each one has a golden goblet in their hand. And they begin to wash you. They pour this cleansing, warm, fresh water over you, washing away your troubles, your pains, blessing you, enriching you. Nourishing you with pure loving intention. With healing water. With all the salts and enzymes that we could possibly dream of. The power of prana, of life and spirit. Offer up now any woundedness that needs a little bit of love and attention. Offer up those parts of you for healing. And now that washing, that cleansing has turned to pure refreshment. It's like a mindful shower where you enjoy every drop. Tuning into the sensations in your body, and as you do so, wiggle your fingers and toes. And roll gently over onto the right side. And when you're ready, come up to seated. And place one hand over your belly and one hand over your heart. Just a really light, gentle version of Ho'oponopono forgiveness practice. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry for any hurt and suffering you've experienced. Please forgive me for any of that I've held on to over these years. Thank you for the learnings, for the insights, for the growth. I love you for your resilience, your perseverance, your love and compassion in spite of it all. And bring your hands to heart center. The divine in me sees and honors the divine in you. Namaste.